Welcome to Pacific Mystery School, and we are working with the Tarot of the Spirit. We are looking at the 1s through 10s, and today we examine the 10s, the 4 10s taken together, and how that fits with the rest of the cards. So the 10 is both an ending, but is at the same time as being an ending, the 10s are also beginnings, because the 10 is the 1 and the 0. 1 and 0 is 10. The 1 is a new beginning, and the 0 is the unknown. So by the time we get to the 10, we are leaping off into another dimension, so to speak. Basically, the layout of the 4 suits in the Tarot of the Spirit goes from fire to water to wind to earth. That's the cumulative layout of the 4 suits. So once you get up to the 10 of fire, you go through the fires 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And when you get to the 10 of fire, you are already making a leap into the next suit, which would be the 1 of water. You go through the suit of water, and when you get to the 10, you're already making a leap into the next suit, which is the 10 of wind. And the same with the wind. You go through the 1 through 10 of wind and you finish the suit, you're making a leap into the 1 of earth. So if you are a reader, you know that. You are going to know that, for example, with the 10 of fire, one way through the 10 of fire is going to be to call upon the 1 of water. Like, take a dip in the water, because now the 10 of fire is going to be very hot by the time you get to the 10. So 10 of fire, interestingly, is called the cage. It shows a caged heart. The heart is now caged in the rib cage. The fire is really hot, and now we have to make a leap into a new way of knowing, a new way of understanding, so we can leap into the open channel of the 1 of fire. Also, what causes this feeling of being caged? Well, let's back up a little bit to the 9 to understand what can cause feeling caged. In the 9 of fire, we have had that experience where we were sailing up above the Himalayas in the hot air balloon. We have had this peak experience, and we have seen the depth of the truth and the love. And it was such a fantastic Kundalini type of experience, a wonderful, marvelous peak sort of experience. Okay, imagine that you are in a monastery high in the Himalayas and you have that kind of experience, and it's absolutely wonderful. But then when it's over, you have to go back home, and you're vacuuming and you're washing dishes and you're doing all the things that you do in your ordinary life. And you're saying, did I even have that peak experience? Really? Was that real? Did that mean something to me? Because now I'm just back in the same old stuff. Well, this is the 10 of fire. This is where your heart might start to feel caged. The best thing that you can probably do at the 10 of fire when you feel that way is try to remember the mantra that you used in the monastery, that you were chanting in the monastery, and bring it into your daily life. While you're washing the dish, chant your mantra, Om, Om. Remember your peak experience. You did have a peak experience. It was amazing. You did learn from it. And now you need to bring that into your daily life, because the 10s are how we walk the path in our daily life. The 10s stand alone at the bottom of the tree of life, and the 10s are about walking our path in the world. How are we going to walk our path in the world? So at the 10 of fire, we need to learn how to integrate all those fabulous experiences we've had into our daily life, and that is not necessarily easy. 10 of water, the fountain of love. This is where, after moving through the entire suit of water, we come to a place where the water is just overflowing in this space of love. And this is a card of salvation. This is a card of salvation through love. You have enough love left over to pour it out into the planet in a very beautiful way. Or the person you're doing a reading for, if you're reading for someone else. That is the meaning of this card. This is the surgence, the surging power of love going in every direction. And that's as high as that suit can go. The 10 of Wind, the way of the cross. After working with this card for so many years, I have a take on this card now that for me is so powerful. What this shows is you shooting your arrows into the target, and finally, after so much practice, you are hitting the bullseye. You know where you're headed on this card. And I like to look at this card now from a different perspective than I had when I was writing about this card. I now call this card the Moonshot card, and I'll tell you why. When the United States sent the men to the moon in the rocket ship, here's how it came about. First, the rocket ship was standing and firing up, getting fired up and getting powered up, and it was held up by scaffolding. So it was within the scaffolding, and as the countdown came, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, then the scaffolding began to release. The scaffolding came apart sideways, came down sideways, and then the rocket ship, highly powered, released and took off. And then what happened was that rocket ship had to go around the Earth. And as it was going around the Earth, it dropped what was called a stage, the first stage, and that first stage was what powered it up into the atmosphere. So that part fell away and fell into the ocean. And then as the rocket ship was circling the Earth and picking up speed and getting ready to go to the moon, it dropped the second stage just before passing out of the Earth's atmosphere. It dropped the second stage, and that was a second layer of power to get up the speed. And then when it took off and flew toward the moon, where it would eventually come to rest in the Sea of Tranquility, it was just a capsule, a very small capsule that sailed through space toward the moon. I use this now as a metaphor for life and for the 10 of Wind, because for me what that means is this is where we realize we really know what we're doing, and we really internalize that we do know what we're doing, and we can let our scaffolding go. The scaffolding may be our socialization, our education, all the different things. We can let the stages of our life go, and we can realize that we can get where we're going by traveling very light. We don't need much because we know what we're doing. All our arrows are going into the target now. We can do this, we can pull this off, we can make it happen. And if we are in a higher state of mind, we do not have to blame anybody for our getaway. Like, in other words, our scaffolding that can be from our socialization, from our parents, and so on, we can be in a state of gratitude for that. We can say, thank you very much for providing the scaffolding. Thank you for providing the power so that I could get off the ground. Thank you. I so appreciate everything that's happened, but I don't really need it anymore because now I'm flying light. I'm traveling light. Same story with the famous Buddhist story of building a raft that was so useful to get across a river. We use the raft, we get across the river, but now we've got to climb a high mountain range. And the question is, does the wise one carry the raft, which has been so useful? Well, now that you know how to build one, you can probably build another raft if you come to another river, but you're going to make much better time if you just let the raft go. Interestingly, the raft represents a whole body of teachings. And once we have internalized truth and the core of the teachings, we can actually let the raft go because we don't need it anymore. It's like walking away from a gigantic library and just remembering who you are, what you're doing, and that you can travel light, but all the time to be in gratitude for everything that you've learned. We do not have to create fights in order to move away. We can be, as I said several times, in gratitude. Then we come to the 10 of earth, the great work. The 10 of earth is the culmination of all 4 suits put together because it's cumulative. As I mentioned, there's the fire, the water, the wind, and the earth. And by the time you get to the 10 of earth, you have completed the 40 initiations of the minor arcana cards of the 1 through 10 in the 4 suits. The 10 of earth, in the 10 of earth, what we see is we see a pen point making a spiral, and it is coming to rest right in the center of the spiral. That is like spiraling in the 10 through the 10 layers of the 1 through 10 and then winding up right in the center of everything. At the 10 of earth, if there's a series of stars running down through the middle of the card, and these are all the chakras illuminated from everything we have learned. We have internalized it so well that now we have the power and the ability not only to understand, but to teach and to share what we have learned by the time we get to this card. So when this card comes up in a reading, it says you are ready to go. You are ready to write the story. You are ready to teach the class. You are ready to move to another level. You are ready to face any initiations that are now before you because you have learned from all of these cards that you've been through, the life situation cards. You have moved through them. You have learned how to move through each one. You have learned the power of each one, and you know how to navigate it. On this card, the great work, we have the same symbols as we see on the mystery card. Birth, death, and karmic transition are the runes that we read on this card, and taken together, it all reads midwife of birth, death, and karmic transition. By the time you get to the 10 of earth, you have learned how to guide other people through their traumas, whatever they are working with, and at the same time, you have realized that you have been guided through so many layers and so many levels. So the 10 of earth is the final walking out into the world. It's the world of creation completed, and now we come into the completion of the 1 through 10 in the fire, the water, the wind, and the earth. And now, having completed this leg of the journey, you can listen to the lessons from the tarot family, which is at the top of each suit. That would be the father, the mother, the brother, and the sister. And you can see how those cards are integrated as well, because taken together, these 40 cards that we have just talked about with the 1 through 10 in fire, water, air, and earth are 40 cards of the minor arcana, and the last 16 cards of the minor arcana are the father, mother, brother, and sister that reside, quote, at the top of each one of these suits. And that ends our excursion right now into the minor arcana cards of the Tarot of the Spirit. Till we meet again, walk in beauty.